Okay, Councillor Perks, you're the first to speak. You're on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you for circulating your 42-page motion, or whatever it is, your very long motion. There it is. I've just quickly been able to review it, and I think it's important that rather than getting lost in the details of where we are, because there are dozens of pages, that we step back and remember how we got here and what we've achieved since then. So we began this budget process by saying, you know what we need to do? We need to freeze taxes and ask every department to find 2.6% or 2.3%. And we came up with this long list of cuts, most of which your motion reverses. So the whole requiring every department to find a certain amount of savings was a waste of time and energy. It was a make-work project. It was busy work, and it's all stuff that here you are at the end of the budget process, most of which you're reversing. So that's not how we fixed our budget. How we fixed our budget, and I've just been through your motion, is we are still using $93 million in one-time money, reserve draws, other one-time sources of funding. That's what this budget has accomplished. We haven't balanced it. What we've done is said that the 2018 taxpayer has to balance it because your motion does not. What have we done in terms of the services that Torontonians want? Well, if you're waiting for affordable housing, your wait is at least as long as it was last year. If you're waiting for childcare, it's about the same as it was last year, even after adding in 325 new daycare spaces. If you're waiting for recreation, your wait is going to be worse than it was in 2015. Maybe it'll get a little better as we open some more recreation centres, but we don't have necessarily money in the future to operate them at the kind of levels of service that Torontonians expect. TTC, your fares went up, and the amount of service that you're getting is pretty much exactly the same, even though Toronto is a growing population and there's more demand for transit service. So if you're a Torontonian, what did this budget do for you? Well, it made the quality of services you rely on worse. It made the amount of time that you have to wait to get into those services longer. And it created a $93 million tax problem for you next year. All of the talk and jazz and noise and confusion about we're going to be more efficient and we're going to be better managers and we're going to ask each department to find savings was hand-waving. It was a waste of the public's time. It was a waste of this committee's time. It was a waste of staff's time. What you've done is borrowed from the future and made services worse. This isn't a budget that you can support. I'd encourage you to actually stop before you pass the motion that Councillor Crawford has and ask yourselves, do we deserve a city where you don't have to wait until your kid is aged out of daycare before a spot comes open? Do you want to have a city where you can actually have hope of getting affordable housing if you're not a higher middle income person? Do you want people to be able to get on the Queen streetcar on their way home from work, or the Dufferin bus, or the Victoria Park bus, or any of the other services that are overcrowded and not getting meaningful improvements? That's what you should be asking yourself as a budget committee. That's what's not covered in the motion from the budget chief. Thank you.